This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Christy Wright, and joining me today for Fun Friday is my best friend, Rachel Cruz.
Christy Wright.
I can't believe they let us do this.
This is our job. That's what I want to know. Someone gave us the microphones, and here we are.
It doesn't happen often, and I feel like maybe there's a reason for that, but that's okay, because here we are, and we're going to live it up. Y'all, listen, we are here for you. We're answering your calls. 888-825-5225. You know the number. Give us a call. We are answering your calls about money, as always. But we've been on a little bit of kick lately because of my book on life balance. So if you've got questions about time management, back to school,
I have all the questions.
Being overwhelmed. Today was Conley's first day of school. And so it's like you're packing lunches, you're getting through the whole routine. Maybe some of you are feeling that. You're feeling the pressure of, I've got to get in a new routine, a new rhythm, manage my calendar. All the school calendars are coming in. All the sports calendars are coming in. All the show up for this parent and me coffee, PTA, this, that, and the other. If you need help managing your time, not being overwhelmed, Rachel and I are in the thick of it. We've got 6 kids between us. We get it. 6 kids under 6.
I was say, who had 6?
You're like, wait a minute.
Not me.
Math, Rachel, you're with me. We would love to talk to you about your money, about your time management, if you're feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you just need help making a decision. Sometimes it's good to have a third party. It's good to have an outside perspective. Run your situation past us, and then we'll give you the best advice that we can. 888-825-5225. And we're going to start with Heidi in Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Heidi. How are you? Oh, we lost her. Oh, no, that was quick. All right, Rachel, I got a question for you, because here's the thing. Dave and I were on the show this week, and we were talking about something funny, and you and I have not talked about this. So Dave and I were talking about budgeting, and the caller was asking about how do I manage my cash envelope system, like with sometimes I use my debit card and so on, and how do I play that into the budget?
Yeah.
And so we got to talking, and I said, Dave, that's got to be harder now because, for example, your food envelope, some food comes out of the envelope, some comes out of your debit card if you buy groceries on Amazon Fresh or so on. Same with clothes. Some clothes I buy with cash, some clothes I buy with, online. And so we got talking, and I said, and then there's just those add to cart days. And he goes, what? And I said, like add to cart. And he goes, like you're shopping and the website recommends you might also like. I go, no, just like sometimes you're just like feeling like adding to cart.
I just need to add to
cart. And he goes, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh my gosh, he did?
And I said, and you could tell he had no idea what I was talking about. So please, for the listener, let's talk about this. I was like, it started in COVID, right? Like, I mean, it maybe got worse in COVID. When we're home, we're buying everything online. But there is a real effect, because sometimes boxes show up and you're like, I don't know what I got.
Oh, it's the worst. I mean, like in that way. So I have kind of 2 add to cart mentalities.
Okay, let's have it.
So one
Teach us.
one is just the complete emotional, I just need to buy. I'm bored.
Just bored. That's
I'm
what,
bored.
Yeah,
I'm
bored.
Stressed.
It's an add to cart
good.
day.
I haven't bought something in a while. I need to buy something. The adrenaline kind of pumps, like the total medicator, right? Like that is like the scientific, when you look at purchasing and what your brain does, how your body responds, all of it. It like literally is one of the coping mechanisms in life. So now I started an add to cart where I get all those feelings, but I don't quite press the checkout button.
You just leave them in the cart.
And there is something about just putting it in the cart, not even buying it, that does something for me. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And I don't even buy it, but I'm like, okay, that's cute. That's cute. Cause I kind of just want to go shopping. So I'm like, I'm just going to add.
It's window shopping online.
It is. And then I can forget about it. Of course, they send you like 80,000 emails. Like, you left something in your cart. You left something in your cart. I'm like, I know.
Right.
I'm doing this on purpose. And then I go back, and sometimes I'm like, okay, there's one thing in there.
Sure.
That I may want, and I'll get. But there's just something about just literally adding it to the cart on my phone that does something. I don't know. I probably shouldn't be teaching about money. This should not be my job. But this is true.
Let me tell you something I discovered this week. In addition to teaching Dave Ramsey about what add to cart means, the emotional side of it, I go home that night. I don't know what day it was this week, and I told Matt about it. I was like, yeah, it was so funny today. I was like telling Dave on air about add to cart. And he goes, yeah. He goes, when I go into our Amazon account, because we share one, right?
Sure.
On this one, he goes, and I see that cart is full. Sometimes I just remove from cart. I was like, that is my saver husband. He's like, she doesn't need this. She doesn't. So be careful, because if you share it with your spouse, they may just delete from cart.
And you just keep it. Yes.
Okay. Yep. Okay, great.
We're going to get Heidi back.
We lost her. I promise I know how to work these phones, guys. All right, here we go. All right. And Heidi, are you there?
Hi, yes.
Heidi, you're with us from Columbus. I'm so glad we got you on. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We're glad you're here. What can Rachel and I do to help?
So 3 years ago, my second child was born. We have three, a 5, 3, and 5 months old. And he has had chronic medical issues his whole life. So we decided at that time for me to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. But the problem that we're running into now, I was doing some babysitting on the side. By the side, I'm meaning like 2 to 3 days a week. But with his mounting schedule for therapies and school, we can't keep me doing it. And I've also developed severe RA and having some anxiety and depression issues as well. So I'm working through those on my own, and my husband feels for the safety of our family and benefit of our family, it would just be better if I stopped working and just focused on our 3 kids. And I agree, but we're starting to get a little bit perplexed when we look at our budget because we have $11,000 deductible to meet. Now, we had a baby, so that covers half of us. My $5,500 has been met, so anything I need for the rest of the year is covered. But he has impending Achilles tendon surgery probably next month, and that's going to be another $5,500. So we owe nearly $11,000 from this year on medical bills, and my husband brings home about $60K a year. So we're just trying to figure out first how to tackle the medical because it's not going to go away. And then where's that life balance of, I spend all the time with the kids and doing therapies, and I'm not going to lie, I'm exhausted by the end of the day.
Right.
I'm physically fried trying to figure out, I have a accounting and business management degree. Could I do something different? And I'm not thinking about it, just trying to get some perspective.
Yeah. So what are the ages of your kids, Heidi?
Sure. My oldest is just turned 5. The middle one, the 3-year-old, he just turned 3. He's the one with a ton of chronic, and then the 5-month-old. She's on my lap. I'm trying to keep her quiet.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to start, Heidi, and tell you you're doing a good job. I know it doesn't feel like it because you feel like the world is on your shoulders, and you are doing better than you think. Now, I want to encourage you with one simple thing before we go to break, and that is the whole premise of my book and my heart behind my book is doing the right things at the right time. It will not be this hard forever. You are doing the right things at the right time by taking care of your family. If you want some ideas of how to make extra money from home, I'll send you, stay on the line, I'll have Kelly send you my Business Idea Bootcamp, which is a course that'll help you come up with business ideas you could do from home around your kid's schedule. But I just want to encourage you not to put that pressure on yourself. You're dealing with health issues. You're dealing with 3 kids under 5. That is more than a full-time job, and you are doing a great job. There will be a season for you to earn more money in the future, but it might not be that season right now. This is The Ramsey Show.
What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings.
EST Right, and joining me today is my very good friend and multiple New York Times bestselling author, Rachel Cruz, and we're taking your calls about money, of course. As always, we're talking about time management, life balance. That can be hard, especially with back to school, like I know so many of you guys that are parents are experiencing right now, or just the second new year. August is kind of like this for everybody. We're kicking it into gear, which is awesome. You've got goals, you've got a lot of good things going on, but sometimes even having too many good things going on can be overwhelming. So give us a call, 888-825-5225. And Rachel, before we went to the break, we were talking to Heidi, and Heidi was a stay-at-home mom, and this is one of the things that's interesting. I've actually talked to Dave about this. When we get these calls about people that are in baby step number 2, and they desire balance, and I don't even know if they know what they mean by that, but they desire some type of balance, but their life is anything but balance in a season of going all in on paying on their debt. And even in Heidi's example, not just the debt being a focus, but she's got a ton of medical things going on. She's got things going on with her kids. And you know, anybody can relate to that. If you've had a challenge with your child, that is all consuming. It's not just consuming from a money perspective. It's consuming from a time, emotional energy, the amount of your day that you spend
thought process,
thinking
how much
about it.
percentage is in there. Yep.
It's so draining. And so I love to help people kind of take the pressure off of like, hey, you don't have to do all these things. You can do one thing at a time, what's right in front of you. But I'm curious from your perspective, especially helping so many people get out of debt, what I've talked about this balance, but balance looks different in different seasons.
That's
so when you're doing the right things at the right time, you actually feel balance, even though you're doing all one thing, possibly. But what were your thoughts on Heidi's situation? Because I know we had to go to break, but especially someone that has so many things on their shoulders. So many, money pressure, but also emotional pressure, health pressure, all that, and desires to work or do whatever.
Well, I think you always kind of look at the risk reward in situations, right? And in her case, multiple kids, again, a child that's sick, she herself is struggling. You hear all of that. And I'm like, the risk to the family dynamic and what it will do to her if she puts this pressure on herself is so much greater right now than that reward of getting out of debt 4 months earlier. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of have to look at the whole picture. And yes, we are all about gazelle intensity, doing what you can, sacrificing, but not at the detriment of yourself, right?
That looks different for different people.
And it does. That's right. Right. Some people, they're able to both go outside the home, work, they're out of debt in crazy amounts of time, crazy amount of debt, and you hear it, you're like, it's amazing. You can applaud that. For some people, it took 2 years because of a decision to say, hey, for our family dynamic in this time, this was better utilized for me to be at home. And I think you have to give yourself permission to say, hey, this is what's best for us in this moment. Yeah. And kind of get above everything else. But it's tough. And I think, we talk to a lot of women that are home and they want to go back to work maybe because they have a passion, or some of them I think maybe feel guilty for just being at home. I've heard that before. And I'm like, to Heidi, I just would say as well that the encouragement of you do so much. When you are home, like, you are saving on childcare, you are saving, you are doing a lot of things, not just financially for your household already, but for the stability of the home. So that role, don't take that lightly, is what I would, encourage her to do as well. And anyone listening, but it's tricky, it's hard. And I mean, you and I, we know this, but I'm like, I think men and women have different, maybe same type of struggles in different ways, different struggles, different times. I mean, all of it, right? But as a mom, when I hear another mom, I'm like, I can go there. I know what that feels like. Like, there's just something there. So I think you gave her such freedom in that and permission, which I think a lot of women need.
Well, you make a good point with the guilt, because I definitely see that a lot, even with women with business boutique that are starting businesses because they're excited they have those gifts and so on. But there's an element of guilt in particular for stay-at-home moms, because, and they say to me, their words, not mine, I feel like I'm not, earning anything. And I say to them, I go, as radical as this sounds, I don't care if I make people mad. I'm like, add up what it would cost to put your children in childcare and pay yourself that, because that's what you're doing. You are saving that equivalent of money in your household. And so there's a value to that, even though you may not see it that way. And so that's a huge piece of it. But you know what else you pointed out? I think comparison, and you talk about this all the time, but comparison plays into this, because someone that is in, let's say that, one mom has, Heidi's example, she's got 3 kids under age 6. One of them has health things going on. She has health things going on. And then she might see another mom that has teenagers and she doesn't have the health issues and she's not in debt and whatever, and be like, oh, I need to be doing more because she is. Or we scroll social media, or we see people in our peer group, in our church, in our school, and we hold ourselves to the same standard maybe they are when our situation is totally different. And I just love that reminder. Not only just the not comparing piece of it, but the pressure is off. The pressure's off. Like you've got to do what's right for you, and what's right for you is going to be different than what's right for someone else.
Yes.
And so I just love that permission, because I think a lot of women feel weighed down by that, and they don't need to.
Well, and I had a friend say too, she was like, if you're spinning too many plates, you can't keep them all spinning. And no one said it's wrong to set down a plate. Mm-hmm. And then maybe pick it up in 2 years and spin it again. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like you get to create a life that you love. You get to make these decisions. Yeah. And so there's a level of control we have to put back in. But when we're, like you said, when we're focusing on what everyone else is doing and what you think, quote unquote, I should be doing, then it screws with everything.
Well, and sometimes it can start as a simple idea in your head. My best friend Jenny sent me a message this morning. We were just playing catch up because she lives a little further away. And she said, I said, give me an update on your life. And she said, well, the kids started back to school this week. And she said, I told myself that I would start, working part-time when they went back to school. So now I've just got this pressure. I've got to fill out my resume, and I've got to do this and LinkedIn. And you could hear in her voice, she was getting anxious.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just got to do this. And I sent her a message back, and I was like, you decided that. You can just undecide. You decided you were going to go back to work part-time when your kids are in school. They've been in school 5 minutes. You can decide that you're going to start doing that in October.
That's right.
Or November. Sometimes it comes from an idea that comes in our head. Like, oh, I could do this. And it turns into, I should do this. And then I'm a failure when I don't do this. It's like, you're the one that decided that. Just like you said, the personal responsibility.
Yes.
Like, you can change your mind.
Yeah.
You can change your plans. You can change your priorities.
And why do you think that's hard for people? I mean, you're kind of in the trenches with women, I feel like, a lot in this. Like, I wonder what it is. Is there a couple of things that you can think of, patterns that you see that cause that we put on ourselves?
Well, I think there's a very practical element of momentum, that once we start thinking something, then we start taking action in that direction.
Yeah.
Then once we get momentum, we don't ever stop to question it. And I've been on coaching calls with Academy members where they are holding their feet to the fire, putting pressure on themselves to achieve some goal. And then we identify through my coaching that goal doesn't even make sense anymore. They're chasing something that's not even right for them anymore. They said it 2 years ago when it was right, and it's not right. But we never stop to question, is this still right? And it's interesting you bring this up, because one of the things I talk about in my new book that I think is that we don't talk about enough is the concept of seasons. And we just think, oh, priorities are a set it and forget it thing. These are my priorities for my whole life. Or because something's right now, it's going to be right forever. And when you start to look at your season, like Heidi's a great example. We have different seasons depending on our family, our work, our health, these major areas. And depending on the season we're in, that will determine what balance looks like for us. That will determine what our capacity is.
Yeah.
That will determine what we put on our calendar or not. But if we don't consider the season we're in before we set our calendar and our to-do list, then we're going to pile it on way more than is realistic or even desirable for us in that season, and then beat ourselves up when we fall short. But the problem wasn't that you didn't do enough. The problem was that you never took into consideration your season when you put all that pressure on yourself.
Of what it is. Yes.
Yeah. I think there's such an important aspect of considering your season. Maybe you're in a season of getting out of debt, and so you are working 2 jobs. But remember, it's a season.
That's right.
When you get out of debt, you're not going to be working 2, 3, 4 jobs, hopefully. Maybe you're in a season of newborns, and you're like, I don't ever sleep. Right, you don't. But I promise you, you will sleep again when your child is older. And so just understanding how our season affects us gives us the strength to get through it and helps us take the pressure off and shake the guilt whenever we don't meet our own expectations of ourselves in that season.
Yes, it's so good. And again, it changes.
Yes.
It's going to change. Seasons change, literally.
Yeah.
It's not this, idea fatalistic that forever, ever this way.
Even though it feels like it sometimes.
It does. But I'm like, you can be able to say, okay, we can look out here. And like we took the girls to Florida 2 months ago. We left Charles with Winston's parents, but it was the first trip. We didn't have high chairs, cribs, diapers, strollers, nothing. And we were like, we're here. We're getting there. Like, it's happening. So find the light. Find the light. It's there.
Yeah. It won't last forever. This is The Ramsey Show. feel like no matter what you try or how hard you work, you just can't get ahead with money? I know that feeling. It's exhausting and stressful, and sometimes it's terrifying. But you don't have to live like that. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, decide that you're ready to do something different so you get different results. It's time to commit to a plan that actually works. Financial Peace University is the step-by-step plan that's helped nearly 6 million people pay off debt and take control of their money. Combine that with the premium version of the Every Dollar budgeting tool, and you will make progress right away. And it's only available with a membership to Ramsey Plus. Decide today to break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. This month only, we're taking $30 off the price of a 12-month membership. Start your free trial of Ramsey Plus today by texting TRIAL to 33789. That's TRIAL to 33789. All right, we're going to go to Joseph in Springfield, Missouri. Hey, Joseph, how are you?
Good. Hey, Christy. Hey, Rachel. How are you guys?
Great. What's going on?
Hey, I got a money question for you. So my wife and I are trying to figure out what to do. We have $30,000 in our savings account.
Okay.
We have $25,000 of student loans. We did buy a house almost a year ago that needed some renovation and remodel. So we have about $20,000, I'd say, that till we are kind of done with the house to where we're, happy and comfortable. And we've been on one car for 5 months, and that time has ended. We definitely need to get a second car. So just kind of want your opinion, your advice on kind of what to tackle first, and then maybe kind of how much in each category to prioritize.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph, how much do you guys make a year?
Our monthly budgetable income is about $4,500.
Okay.
So 55 to 60 is take home.
Yeah.
What are these improvements? Because I understand some improvements are necessary when you move in a house if it's like mold or something major. But you said happy and comfortable, Joseph. Tell me about these improvements. Are these optional, Joseph? Be honest with me.
Yeah, some are needed. Tubs, faucets leaking, stuff like that, need bathroom remodels. Some are, we'd like to updated fixtures in the kitchen and stuff. So we know that some is absolutely like, yep, we need to do it. And some is like, well, if it's Instagram worthy, we'll get there eventually. But like remodeling the bathrooms, fixing leaky tubs, putting on doors, and putting new floors in, taking out the moldy carpet and stuff like that.
Have y'all calculated the amount of things that are like really necessary, like moldy carpet, and then kind of itemized, like two separate lists, like things we must do now to live here and things that would be nice to do later when we have the cash?
Yeah, I would say it's about 10 of those 20 that we calculated. Half of that is like, okay, we really need to do this. And then the other half is like, these are some things coming up in the future that we want to do. And we kind of like having that security of the extra, 10,000 sitting there for those things.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask about the car situation. So you guys have been doing it for 5 months. How'd you do it for 5 months, and why suddenly is that season over?
Well, I am an educator, so back to school is around the season. I'm also a sports official, and so I have to travel for games and stuff. And so that, since both of those things are coming back up for the fall semester, it's we can't juggle it with just one vehicle.
Yep. Okay. So where you guys are at because of the house repairs, because of the debt that you guys still have, the good thing is you have $30,000 in savings. So from that, we're going to kind of just split that. We're going to categorize that $30,000. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I would spend nothing on a car right now. Nothing. $5,000 maybe. Get a cheap old car. Something that's reliable, obviously. We don't want it breaking all the time. But just go find an old Honda Civic, an Accord, just an old, nice car that is reliable, okay? Nothing big, nothing fancy. Your 10K, I'm going to press you on it just because I could just hear in your tone. I'm going to say do it in 5K. Okay, so that's 10,000 of the 30 that we've already spent. 5K in-house stuff of absolutely needing it, and this is pricing out different options, different vendors. Don't just take the one guy that you hear. This is kind of like, this is going to be bare bones for a little bit. So I would find the things that you absolutely have to do and do it as inexpensively as possible to get it done. So again, I'm going to cut your 10 and 5 just for fun. So that's 20 grand left. You guys have 25,000 student loans. I'd keep 1,000. I'd throw everything else at the student loans. And then you guys are close at that point then to getting out of debt. I mean, you're going to have about 6,000 left on those student loans. And I want you guys gazelle intense at that point. I need something in you, Joseph, that feels committed. Okay. Like I need you to say, I'm done. It doesn't feel like you're super sick and tired of the loans. It's kind of like, they're there. I got this, and this. Like if it's gonna leave, it's got to leave. And the sooner you guys clean this up, you get rid of it, you get some actual cash as an emergency fund. So when repairs are needed for the house that you actually need, you have that cash to pull out. And then from there, you can say, okay, we have our fully funded emergency fund after you pay off your debt. Then we can look to say, okay, now do we step up in car? Now do we go and look at the house and do the things that we want to do more than just the repairs? But I mean, I want you guys to go bare bones, because the more you sacrifice your lifestyle, the more cheap of a car you get, the more you price out these home repairs and you do what's absolutely necessary, and the more money you can throw at the student loan, the faster you guys are going to clean this up, and you're going to be in such a different position financially if you do this.
And you're going to make your money go so much further if you do what Rachel says. Like, you've got 30,000, you look at that like, oh wow, that's so much money, which is great that you have it. You guys have done well to save that up. But I want you to pinch every penny out of it. Not just go, oh well, we can just do 20,000 of home repairs and then just, hang out and let these student loans hang around. If you do what she's saying and you really put off those home repairs, those light fixtures, all the things, even the ugly bathroom, you keep that ugly tile in there. You don't have to remodel the whole bathroom and gut it to fix a leak.
That's right.
Just fix the leak. And I know it's tempting to justify it in your mind and go, oh, but if we're going to do it, let's do it at the same time. I hear you. I have that voice in my head too.
Home repair girl.
But listen, you don't have the money to do that. That would be nice if you had the money to do that. Because you have this debt, you actually don't have the money to gut the bathroom and do all the nice to haves at the same time. So what you're going to do is you're going to make that money go as far as you possibly can, like Rachel said, and you're only going to do the home repairs that you must do from a health, safety type of standpoint in order to live in the house, even if that bathroom is ugly.
That's right.
Just until you get your student loans and debt paid off. And here's the thing, let that ugly bathroom motivate you. You walk in there, you see the lime green tile, you're like, this is why we're paying off our student loans.
This is why we're doing this. And Joseph, what's hard, what we just outlined for you, it's easier said than done, because now emotionally, you and your wife both have to say, oh no, but we moved into this house knowing we'd have to do repairs, and we were going to do repairs in X, Y, and Z time, and we just pushed your timeline by about 8 months. So it's a hard reality pill to swallow, because your expectations are now changing. But I would rather you guys have no debts. You're not paying more interest on the student loans, all of that. Like you're out of debt. You actually have cash in the bank, so this home can be a blessing rather than a curse. And then you wrap back around and say, okay, now let's fix what we need to fix and what we want to. That's being an adult, right? Dave says all the time, adults devise a plan and follow it. Children do it feels good. It feels good to get the new bathroom.
Yeah.
It feels good to do the repairs on things that are just cosmetic, but hold off.
And it's what we were just talking about. It's a season. It's a season of sacrifice. We're not saying have an ugly bathroom forever. We're not saying drive a terrible car forever. We're just saying it's a season while you're going to prioritize this debt that's dragging you down and stealing your income, so that once it's gone, you can do all the home repairs you want to that you save up for in cash. You can get a nicer car that you save up for in cash that has no payment dragging behind it. And you will experience that car, that bathroom, whatever, completely differently when there's not all of this debt attached to it. And that's what we're trying to help you do. Short term. It is a sacrifice, but it's a short-term sacrifice for a season. And just know, this is our why. At the end of this, we're going to save up and do awesome home repairs that we're going to be really proud of, and they're paid for in cash. This is The Ramsey Show. Christy Wright, and joining me today is my very good friend and New York Times bestselling author, Rachel Cruz. We're taking your calls about life and money, time management, overwhelm, whatever you want to talk about. We are here for you. It is Fun Friday, and we want to talk. Give us a call, 888-825-5225, and we're going to go to Sandy in South Dakota. Hey, Sandy, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
All right. So I just finished residency. So I start my first real doctor's job on Monday.
Congrats.
And
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. So my salary is going to be $200,000. And then there's, bonuses and all that later. But I am currently in debt, $287,000. They're all federal loans debt. I do have $5,000 in credit card debt, but with no interest. And I plan on just paying that off right away, my first paycheck. And $8,000 in savings because I saved up. I saved up to $12,000 total because of my move and the fact that I have 2 months off between residency and my next job. So now I have $8,000 left of that. So my question is, do I stick to the public service loan forgiveness that I'm currently on because I'll be at a VA hospital? I have 27 out of the 120 payments towards it, with the possibility of paying a lot less of my loans if I go through that route for 10 years. But the issue is if I don't stay at a nonprofit hospital or at the VA, I will lose that. Or do I end up just paying it off in, 3 to 5 years aggressively that way with 3.5 interest if I refinance through SoFi?
Yes. Well, number one, congrats, Dr. Sandy. I'm so excited for you. So with these debt forgiveness programs, a lot of them really cause you to be handcuffed to something, right?
You're still in debt. You're not in a different way.
And you're not having the freedom to choose a different spot. So if you wanted to leave the VA hospital, like you said, you lose it all. So what you're doing is you're kind of giving power to someone else when it comes to your money and the debt versus you saying, I can just clean this up and I can clean this up quick. Because the great, awesome thing too, Sandy, is $200K you're starting out, which is amazing. So number one, I would not do the debt forgiveness program. I would pay this off so that you're not attached to something for 10 years of your life, not just the debt, but also the career and where they're making you work in that instance. And I mean, even with the $5K and credit card debt, I love that you said we're going to just pay that off. You're going to have a lot of discipline, Sandy, because you are about to make $200,000. And there's a thing they always say is doc-itis, right? You go out and get a nice car, you're making all this money, and you're done with school, you're ready just to enjoy life. Well,
I plan to drive my Mazda 3 2012 until it dies.
Yes, okay. So Sandy, I mean, just looking at the math, I'm like, you could be completely out of debt in 18 months. If you lived on like $30,000-$40,000 a year, which people do all the time, and you just sacrifice, and do you live in Sioux Falls? Is that where you are?
That's what my new job will be.
Okay, which is amazing too. I'm like that from a cost of living standpoint. You're not in Manhattan. You're not in San Francisco. Like you're in a great place to literally live on nothing, Sandy, for 18 months, 2 years, and you have almost $300,000 in student loan debt gone. Like, I mean, I look at the math when I first heard you say $287,000. I was like, oh no. But then you said I'm going to make 200. I was like, brilliant, perfect. But you have to have the discipline, Sandy. But you can do this. You can absolutely get this debt knocked out. And then the beautiful thing is, once that's done, you have $200,000 that you're going to make in the next year. That's yours.
Should I? So what I'm afraid of is once I refinance and don't have my government loans anymore, I'm scared of what if I lose my job and then I'm stuck with the payments. I'm forced to pay it, whereas I just keep the government of federal loans and don't refinance it.
What's the refinance? What's the rate? What would you get difference?
It's at 3.5%.
Okay, and you would go down to what?
No, sorry. So the government is about 6%, and SoFi gave me 3.5%.
Well, honestly, Sandy, the interest stuff isn't even that big of a deal because it's not going to be that long.
Well, and there's no sign that you're going to lose your job. That's a scarcity mindset that out of nowhere you're going to lose your job. Like we could sit here and do what if scenarios all day, but you have absolutely no evidence that you have any reason to lose your job. So we're just going to go based on what you know today, which is you have a job and you're making good money.
Okay. And I wouldn't get all twisted up about the interest, honestly, because again, if we were talking about 8 years of this, then yeah, that's something. We're talking about 18 months, or I am. I'm talking about 18 months. So it's not even going to really make that huge of a difference over that short period of time.
Yeah. Sandy, you can do this. It's going to take the discipline for the season, just like we're talking about, but it's going to be worth it on the other side of this when you have this incredible income and you're not having to make those payments. The thing that's interesting, though, Rachel, that I think some people miss, and we talk about this all the time, when we talk about money, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about what money can do for you. The options, the power, the control, the possibilities, the future that you have. Because when you have money, you got all kinds of options. When you have stuff, you don't. So the reason that I love that we want Sandy to get out of debt so quickly with her taking control of all of it is because then she has options. If you keep doing this government program, you have no options and you are in debt just in a different way. It's not financial, but you're indebted to them and you're stuck with them. You have no options,
10 years,
no power.
Though.
No options, no power, no control. And we want you to have all the options, all the power, all the control. That's why we teach what we teach. So you got this, Sandy. And you call back when you're debt-free because I want to hear your debt-free scream. All right, we're going to go to Trey in Ohio. Hey, Trey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How can Rachel and I help?
I was just curious. So I'm 25 years old. Right now I'm living on a friend's couch for $300 a month. I make $45,000 a year. Me and my girlfriend just broke up. I kind of been thinking. I discussed it with my roommate or whatever, and he told me I could stay for a year and build my money. The only debt that I have is my vehicle. I have $5,000 in the savings. I did have upwards of, I think it was 9, but I paid the car down to $3,000, and then I figured I would leave $2,500 in my savings kind of for backup. And then I still have my paychecks coming in on my checking as well, so that savings, wouldn't be touched, and I could give as much money as possible toward that car payment a month. I was just wondering the best possible way to save with having that $250 a month car payment and me making roughly $2,500 a month. I was just kind of trying to develop a plan here.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Trey, you owe $5,000 left on your car, right?
I owe $3,000.
I'm sorry.
$500.
Okay. Are you on a budget?
Right now I just am. I try to do 25% of my paycheck into my savings each week. That's what I'm trying to do. I have a emergency fund account with like $300 on it. Every week, $50 goes into that out of my paycheck.
Okay.
And then I have $5,000 in savings.
Okay. So Trey, I want you to do a very, very detailed budget, meaning you're going to list out everything that you spend money on. So we're going to do some giving, possibly some savings. We'll talk about that in a second. And then I want you to list out all of your bills, okay? But dollar amounts next to each of those. Now, this is everything from food, from your $300 of rent that you're staying with your friend, to insurance, cell phone. I don't care. Everything that you pay for, I want you to list out. And the goal here is for your income every month that's coming in, that $2,500 minus all of those expenses equals $0. So every dollar you have is going to a category. So here's the deal. You make $45,000, Trey. I'd leave your friend's house. I'd go rent an apartment. You can have some dignity as a man. You got this. And then you're going to start paying off this car because you only got $35,000 or $3,500 left on the car payment. You got this. You got some savings. Throw all the savings at the car. Leave $1,000 though for an emergency fund. Go rent an apartment. Do that budget. And we're going to sign you up for Ramsey Plus. So stay on the line, Trey, and we're going to give you a part of our free subscription of Ramsey Plus.
It's good. He's got what he needs.
He can do it. He can do it.
He can do it. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Kelly, associate producer and phone screener for The Ramsey Show. If you would like to do your debt-free scream live on the show, make sure you visit theramseyshow.com and register. We would love for you to come to Nashville and tell Dave your story.
This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Christy Wright, and joining me today is my good friend and multiple New York Times bestselling author, Rachel Cruz. We are having a ladies' day. There, I said it.
I
know. I'm funny about ladies.
I know. Last time we were on together, we just did an hour, and I was like, it's like the ladies' theme hour. She was like, in the break, she was like, I just don't like the word ladies. I was like, really? And then on Instagram before, she was like, we're going to be on. It's going to be a women's show. And I was like, a ladies' show. And then you did a poll, and you just said, how many people prefer ladies or women? And what's the percentage, Christy?
74% prefer ladies.
Ladies.
I lose.
Ladies.
Listen, I will admit
that. I was like, yes.
I don't dislike it.
Women.
I don't dislike it. I just prefer the term female. Women. I think it's because it feels sorority to me. It feels like, hey, ladies, everyone snap our fingers and circle, which I was in a sorority, so I like sororities too. I don't even know what the problem is with ladies.
Anyways, we're here.
We're here for you.
I don't know how they trust us, but we're here.
We are, and it's too late now. Listen, it's Fun Friday. We're taking your calls, 888-825-5225, about money, life, business. We've got the Business Boutique Conference coming up this October. So if you've got a call about business, marketing, sales, is your idea good? Can it make money? Is now the time for you? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Rachel is really great at helping you with your money. I'm great at helping you with your time. And let's be honest, we could all use a little more of both. So 888-825-5225. Give us a call, and we are here for you. All right, we're going to go to Rhonda in Santa Barbara, California. Hey, Rhonda, how are you?
Hi, I am fantastic, and I'm happy to be a part of Women or Ladies.
There you go.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Pick either.
I love it. What's going on, Rhonda?
Well, I am calling to, my husband and I have been diehard after attending FPU in 2019. We have paid off our car. We are $1,500 away from being out of debt.
Oh,
awesome.
My gosh. Congratulations.
It's exciting. Our issue is, while we have the typical, our car has 250,000 miles on it, but my husband only has a 2-mile drive to work. But I am paralyzed. I have multiple sclerosis, and I am unable to get into our car. So if there's ever a situation, I go all over our town in my wheelchair. We live right next to the transit center. I use the bus. Have no problem with that. But we both feel, I'm 53, he's 60. We both feel that we're at a point where having an accessible van is really becoming a necessity. And we're just trying to find the smartest way to go about getting that. We're not looking at brand new. I mean, those vans are $90,000 to $100,000 brand new.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've really researched. We know that we can get a van that will meet all of our needs. Between $35,000 and $40,000. The problem is we only bring in $48,000 a year. I have my disability, and we live on the central coast of California, which is one of the most expensive places to live.
Yeah.
And we watch you guys all the time, and I've never seen a question like this when it really isn't a want. It has reached a point that it's a need.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Rhonda, and I don't know, I haven't done research on this, but are there any type of resources, funding, anything for transportation for people with disabilities like this? I mean, not to pay for the whole thing necessarily, but is there any, have you looked into that?
I have done all the research, and unfortunately, we fall into the category of working poor. Mm-hmm. So we make just too much to get any government assistance, but we don't make enough to pay for it ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, our rent is half of what he brings in each month, but we've done it. We've made it work. I mean, we're going to be out of debt probably about 2 months earlier than what I calculated when taking FPU.
Yeah.
And so we've really, I mean, we literally went on the rice and beans.
Yeah, y'all have done it, Rhonda. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm from the South, so it's not a big deal.
But it's amazing. I mean, the work you guys have done, absolutely. I want you to feel proud of that. You're doing what most people don't do, right? I mean, like you guys sacrificed and you did it. So I am curious for you with your story with this. When did you get diagnosed? How long have you been in a wheelchair? How has life been?
Yeah, I was diagnosed 18 years ago. I actually only became wheelchair bound in 2012. It started 2013, and that was due to a divorce. I was married for 25 years to an addict and an alcoholic who kind of threw me to the side when I got sick.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
And but you know what? I'm going on 7 years now of being married to a man who met me, saw me in spite of the wheelchair. Mm. And we are, like I said, he has actually paid off debt that belonged to my ex-husband.
Wow.
We are a team.
It's awesome.
I mean, we've already told our pastor that we want to lead an FPU class.
That's amazing. So, Rhonda,
can I see the value in it?
That's incredible, and I'm so thankful, so thankful that their story of redemption and your story of some hardships for sure. And you are in this is a hard situation. So, what I would say, you will never call the Ramsey Show, and we encourage going into debt. Okay. So like we can't say just go out and get a loan on the wheelchair or on the van that's wheelchair accessible and take out a loan, all that. Like we can't do that. Right. So what I would say up until this point, what you guys have been doing, what you can do to save and research. What is the starting van? You said $35,000. Is there anything more used? Maybe there's a family and they're replacing theirs, and you can go and talk to them and say, hey, can we get a better deal on this? Here's our situation, and do what you can to mirror what you've been doing since 2012 for maybe just a little bit longer until you have that cash saved up to pay for that van, because I know that will be a huge gift, Rhonda, and you guys are doing it. I believe that you can do this because you've gone this far.
We were drawn to Christian Healthcare Ministries because we both had young families and we wanted to have more children. And we had also just started a real estate company and needed to find healthcare coverage that would meet our needs.
We were attracted to CHM because of its low monthly costs and the ability to negotiate medical costs down.
Established in 1981 and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, CHM is here to meet the needs of your growing family or small business. Check us out at chministries.org/budget.
We absolutely believe in it.
Right, and we are taking your calls about life, money, 888-825-5225. Taking your calls about life, money, paying off your debt, starting a business, managing your time, adjusting to a new season of life, whatever you need, we are here for you. We are going to go to Isabella in Huntington, West Virginia. Hey, Isabella, how are you?
Good. How are you all?
Good. What's going on?
So me and my husband, I'm 21 and my husband's 22, and we've been following Dave Ramsey for about 4 years now. We've been married for 2 years, and we have no debt except for our house. We've been paying for our schooling out of pocket.
Awesome.
But I am planning to go to med school here in 2 years, and my husband is currently in his BSN for his nursing, and we're paying for that out of pocket, and we're planning to pay for his nurse prac out of pocket. But with paying for his nurse prac out of pocket at the same time I'm going to med school, it's going to be very difficult for us to financially swing paying for med school out of pocket. But the good thing is I found a local school that I can do for about $80,000 to $90,000 in 4 years, which isn't crazy for med school. I feel like that's doable.
Yeah.
And we could live on his income as a nurse prac after I get out of med school. And I've also been looking into like loan repayment programs for like working for a certain employer for a certain amount of time afterwards. But I didn't know the best way to kind of go forward with this because we do believe that this is an investment and we're trying to do it the smartest way possible. So I just didn't know if you all had any advice on that.
How much time does your husband have left with his schooling?
He has a year left of his BSN and then about 3 years with nurse prac. So he'll be about halfway done with his schooling by the time I go into med school. So he'll have about 2 years left. So he'll be done when I'm in med school.
Okay. I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask, what's causing you to go right into med school right now? Would you pause for 3 years till he finishes so you guys can cash flow this $80,000? Oh, the $80,000 over your 4 years of med school?
Yeah, so the kind of rush is, I know this is going to sound really silly, but we were kind of wanting children around 28 years old. Mm-hmm. And where I would go in about 2 years, I'd be about 27 when we graduated. And we were just we were wanting to start a family sooner and get through it sooner because I kind of just I've been doing school. I did my undergrad and paid for that. And did high school, like I've done everything back to back. And I know I just really want to be out of school. I just want to get it done.
I hear that. And I totally appreciate that urgency for sure. I mean, and the honesty. I get that. Yeah. Isabel, are you going to do you know kind of what you want to do after kids? Are you planning on still, I
plan on still working, and my husband, I think we both still want to work. But he loves kids. And so I could see him potentially staying home to be a stay-at-home dad after I would get settled in and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But we were planning to probably have kids during residency. The reason I basically called in too is because not a lot of people my age are in our predicament. And everybody that I know that's a doctor around me took out loans, and most of them are still paying on those loans 20 years later. And we also have a house. And so I didn't know, and we have some equity in that. And so I didn't know if we should sell that and use that for med school and try to relocate when I moved to med school, which is about 2 hours away, mm-hmm. and use that to kind of help pay for relocating, or if we should keep that as a rental property and keep that income flowing in. There's just a lot of different questions that are different for our predicament.
And I love the options you're giving me because it's showing me, yes, you're willing to do all these options because there's ways to get med school paid for. I mean, there are places, like you said, to work to help with that. There are programs to be involved in that help. And we have doctors, dentists, we have people call in all the time to the show that talk about how they've been helped financially to go through it. So there are options out there. But here's the thing, Isabella, is when you take out debt, this is one of the reasons that we harp against it so much, is you add risk to your life. And what I mean by that is the stories of people that say, well, I had good intentions of going, for this med school, we're going to take out some loans, we're going to have kids. And then in the process, maybe you have a child with special needs and you're now wanting to stay home, but but the forcing of paying off the debt changes your life, right? I mean, I'm just saying you never know what life is going to throw at you. And when you don't have payments, it gives you options and freedom and less risk. So my advice to you, Isabella, would be to do whatever you can, even if that means pausing a year and you going out and working and making some money and just banking that money for your first year's tuition, working your way through school, finding creative ways. If you guys do want to sell the house and use some of the equity to pay off school and rent an apartment, and you're like, you know what, we'd rather rent an apartment for 4 years, cash flow school, and then look at our family. And once we are expecting, maybe we can go buy a house after our emergency fund. I mean, like, you have options here. I just wouldn't settle for the fact that debt has to be your only avenue. And I don't think you feel that way, because you're giving me options, which I appreciate. So I would push into those, Isabella, and do what you can, even though you want to get through school, which I appreciate. What's going to be the best use of your money and your time over the long haul, not just the short term?
Yeah, and you are in an awesome position because you have taken debt off the table. It has to stay off the table. If debt comes on the table, then you're going to take it because it's the easier way. Of course, it's easier to sign your name, but then you're going to be calling us back in 3 years saying, I'm, $80,000 in debt. What do I do? Just like the call we just had of someone that had $287,000 in debt. You're in a position right now at this amazing fork in the road where you can avoid that future. And the only difference is you take debt off the table and you say either we're going to sell the house, take that equity, cash flow, rent. Cool. That's totally fine. I would not rent out your house because I think that you guys have a lot of irons in the fire with all this school, possibly starting a family. You don't need to be landlords. Yep. Let's not add complication to your situation. Let's keep it simple. And you get the cash, whether it's because you take a job, you push it off, whatever that looks like, or you sell the house, wherever you get the money from, you're going to pay for it in cash. You're taking debt off the table because that's how you got in this awesome position you're in, and you're going to work hard to maintain it. But I will tell you, it is way easier to maintain this position that you're in than it is to get back here out of debt if you make the wrong choice and you decide to take out loans for that. So whatever you do, you're going to pay for it in cash, whatever time frame. Even if that pushes back your time frame a little bit, you'll be setting those future kids up a whole lot better when you're starting a family debt-free versus starting a family in debt. Great question, though, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this new journey. All right, let's go to Tim in South Bend, Indiana. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's your question?
I have a small business. It's an ice cream parlor, and like everybody else, we're so short-staffed.
Yeah.
And I was looking for some advice because I don't understand kids today, and we normally hire high school or college kids. I was a little bit heavy on college kids this year. Well, they're all went back to school now, and now I can't even hire anybody. And the pay scale is pretty decent. I'm just at a loss, and I've never been through anything like this where I've had a hard time finding people to work. And, Uncle Joe's money going to everybody now, I don't know if that's what has to do with anything, but I'm at a loss, and I was hoping you could point me in the right way.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Tim, I want you to go ahead and give yourself a little bit of grace that you are running a business during a very difficult time. Okay, so it didn't just happen in 2020. It's still difficult. Everywhere you go, people are understaffed. And there's a variety of reasons that contribute to that. But here's what I want to encourage you. I want you to think of reasons, not just one reason, multiple reasons, for people to work for you that are more than money. What is it? Is it because you have such an awesome culture, because you have Fun Friday where you guys all have a social after hours, because you maybe contribute to their college in some small way that just feels like an awesome thank you? Create a culture and brainstorm ideas that are going to draw people to want to work there at your ice cream parlor, because it's about more than just money. Money's not enough to help to keep people, even in a normal work environment. But in this one, you got to get creative, think outside the box, and think of something. And I hope that encourages you. Stay on the line. We'll have Kelly send you Entree Leadership to give you a boost of motivation as well. ever wants their child to experience the panic of being unprepared for an emergency. But let's be honest, teaching your teens how to be smart with money can feel like a big job. Maybe you feel ill-equipped because you haven't always been great with money. Here's the deal. We have got your back. With our digital self-study courses, you can rest assured that your teen will know the right way to handle money, no matter what curveballs life may throw them down the road. And the best part is there's no instructor needed. If your teen has a tablet or computer, they're all set. Parents, go ahead and text self-study to 33789 to learn more about all of the different courses we have available for your middle or high schooler. That's self-study, all one word, to 33789 to learn more about our programs for teens. And then they might just be teaching you something about money, which would be pretty awesome. All right, let's go to Jessica in Washington, D.C. Hey, Jessica, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Yeah, what's going on?
I just had a quick question about some Parent Plus loans we're paying for my husband's education, and they're in his mom's name, and it's about $56,000. It's in his parents' name, and a really high interest rate, like 7.9%. We just don't know if we should make this as part of our baby step 2. We've paid off our own personal debt and just bought a house and a 15-year mortgage. Like, we're really cruising through the baby steps. But we just don't know if we should put this in our name and consider it our own if we're going to be paying it.
Jessica, how old are you guys?
I'm 29 and he's 30.
Okay, so is this loan recent? Did he go back to school, or was this from when he was in college? 15 years ago.
When he was in college. Yeah.
Okay.
13, he graduated.
And what is his parents' financial situation? You don't think they're going to be able to pay this loan off, or is it more of a financial obligation that you feel, or like an emotional, hey, this is basically his loan and we feel the need to do this emotionally, or is it more financial?
I would say both. We are in a much better predicament to pay it, and emotionally. I mean, he feels like he owes his mom everything. She's an amazing mom. So we just want to do this for them.
Yeah. Well, from a legal standpoint, right, it is their loan that they signed to pay, right? That's the Parent Plus loan formula. But for you guys, I mean, I think that there's a level of dignity you're giving yourselves of saying, hey, you know what, we're adults, and this loan was for him, for his education. And yeah, legally, she's the one that can take it and all of that, right? That's what the deal is. But you guys taking it on, in a way, is very noble. It's a way of taking care of his mom. And like you said, she probably won't be able to pay it off. It's putting her in a situation. And if you guys are able to take it on, I think that's kind of a beautiful thing. I think that's a gift to give her. And I don't think your spirit doesn't sound like you're doing it out of obligation. I think you feel like you're doing it because this is the right thing to do. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just don't know if we should put it in our name or continue making payments through her account. And if we should add this to our baby step to kind of revert back, because we feel like we're ready to move on to baby step 4 if we just kind of make monthly payments on this and not make it part of our debt. But it is our debt, essentially.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just semantics. It's just how you're talking about it. Because if you're taking emotional ownership and you're taking actual financial payment of it, then yes, it is. Whether or not you want to pretend it's in your debt snowball or not, for the step backwards that it feels like. Did you already say this, Jessica, and maybe I missed it, but what are the expectations? Have you all communicated with the parents about who is paying it, who's responsible for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was not, we just kind of decided to take it on about 2 years ago. I mean, we've been paying on it for a while. So I think it's pretty expected that we'll be paying for it. It was just never officially.
Totally. But have y'all said that? Have you all had a conversation we're going to take this on and we're going to pay it off?
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. I just think that's key because sometimes we can have different expectations. Like you guys expected them to take it back or you expected it to be split or something like that. So just if y'all are all on the same page from an expectation standpoint, then yeah, I love that. And if you can, then do it. It sounds to me, and Rachel, you chime in here, it sounds to me that what feels right in your spirit, Jessica, is to pay it. So even if we told you not to pay it for some reason, which we wouldn't, your spirit is what's telling you what you need to do. Like, it's like, that's what you feel convicted to do, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So you need to do what you feel called to do.
And I'll be honest, Jessica, I don't know the process of putting the loan in your name. I know you asked that versus keeping it in hers. I would say if you guys were able to pay this off quickly, a part of me would say not to mess with it.
It doesn't matter.
Keep it in her name. Well, it adds to the liability, of her. If they don't pay it, it is still in her name. I mean, there's just...
I mean, if you pay it off quickly, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. If you pay it off quickly, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it really matters that much in that way. So, but I don't know the process even to direct you in that. So I would say continue to pay it off, but I would be gazelle-intense. I would pause everything. I know you guys haven't moved quite on to baby step 4. I don't think you said. So, I would continue to pay off this 56, and you can keep it where it is.
Rachel, I'm curious because I know you have talked about this a lot. Dave has talked about this a lot, but this is a great question, a great example from Jessica, and it sounds like everyone's in a really healthy place. Sometimes we get calls, and it's not that, and it's, well, I paid for my mom, or I paid for my sister XYZ, and she didn't pay me back, and I thought she was going to, and we never. And there's just these weird family dynamics when someone pays for someone else's something, and I love Jessica's heart because it's very much like, we want to. We don't have to, but we want to, and it's coming out of this like joyful heart, and it's a gift, or it's a something that everybody's on the same page. How do you advise people when they're like, should I pay for this thing for a family member? Like, what's the kind of like framework you walk them through to ask if that's right for you?
Well, I would say the first step is to think, I'm not getting this money back. This is a gift. Right. We're not going to loan it out. It's not a debt. We're going to loan it out. I would say if there's a level of enabling, I would push into it. Okay. Because what ends up happening is you could end up harming them more than helping them.
Or it's a pattern.
That's right. Yep. Exactly. But that's the beautiful thing when we talk about living like no one else. So later you can live and give like no one else. And, we get calls that people have paid off their parents' mortgages, right? Like, I mean, these insane gifts that you're able to do for people when you handle your own money, right? I mean, and Jessica's that, right? Like they're on baby step 4 now, and she's like, you know what? We're going to take on this debt that technically his mom's paid for, right? Yeah. Took out, but we're going to do that because it was, my husband's education. I'm like, that's a gift. Like that is. So, so I would just make sure that the enabling part is not in there. But also I would say from a spiritual aspect, if you feel the Holy Spirit, you feel like God's telling you to do something. Yeah. That's a great checklist as well to say, all right, we're gonna engage this opportunity to do it. But I think understanding and the expectation, because like you said, we get so many calls. I mean, I've even had friends, 2 different friends, that their parents took out a loan for college. They didn't realize it, but it was under their name. Right. And then they're going to go buy a house, and they pull, and they're like, well, you have a, and they go, and they're like, Mom and Dad, they're like, yeah, well, you're supposed to pay on this. Like, I haven't been paying on it because I didn't know it was there. You
didn't tell me.
There's just so much miscommunication that can happen in families because of just assuming. Yeah. Oh, I just assumed you knew. Right. Well, how would you assume? We never talked about it. So the over communication part, which is why I liked you pressed Jessica on that. Like, that's a key part. Whenever you're dealing with money and family, keeping it clean helps with that communication. Clear communication. To be unclear is to be unkind. Yeah. You're not being kind by just dancing around the edges and making everything sweet. Go in there and lay down exactly what's going on. Yeah. Because that truth is going to help kind of slice through a lot of the hardship that can be caused by money and family.
Yeah, and I love how we quote this all the time, but George Bernard Shaw said, the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it's occurred. I thought you knew, you thought I knew, but I said, but you meant, and I thought, and that's where so much resentment builds. Mm-hmm. That's where conflict occurs. That's where you missed each other. You had an expectation, they had an expectation. They were different expectations and you never talked about them. And so much can be resolved, so much conflict, so many, resentment that's building up could be resolved if you would just communicate. If you would just say, what are your expectations here? Here are my expectations here. Let's get on the same page before we move forward in anything. By the way, that's not just a money principle. That's a life principle. This is The Ramsey Show. are taking your calls today. 888-825-5225. If you have a question about money, about paying off your debt, about starting your business, about life, we're here. We're here for you. Taking your calls. We're having fun. It's Friday. We're in a great mood, and we love hanging out with you. So let's go to Audrey in Joplin, Missouri. Hey, Audrey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Yeah, so let me give you just a little bit of preface. So I'm 19. I'm currently going to college. I'm actually getting paid back to go to college. My scholarships are covering everything.
Wow. You're one of those, Audrey. I knew those people. They'd go to the financial aid office and they'd get a check. And I'm like, yeah, you're the smart ones. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So just in the last month, I pretty much binge watched Financial Peace University. And my question really is, since I've never gone into debt. I'm looking to start that emergency fund and opening like a Roth IRA to start on all that stuff. And I've never done any of that stuff before. So I didn't know if it's best to do it at just like my local bank where I have my free checking account, or where's the best place to go to do those things.
Well, you're amazing, Audrey. Number one, I mean, absolutely incredible. Not many 19-year-olds binge watch Financial Peace University.
No, though they should.
And yes, I mean, you already are going to be in an incredible situation. So here's what I would say to you. While those charts that are in Financial Peace University, you see the compound interest. If you start at 19 and you end at 22, you have 4 million, all of this. So that, for me, is an illustration to show, maybe not literal right now at 19, but to show the power of when you start early, how far your money can go. So with that being said, with you being in school, even though you're being paid and you're so smart, I'm sure that that's still how it's going to be in 4 years. The best investment you can make right now is in you. And so by putting money away right now that you're not able to get, and in fact, you have to earn an income to a point to even open up a Roth IRA, which is an investment. So you'd have to meet with an investment professional to do that. That money is away. So the best plan, and this is what we encourage always college students, smart college students that are people like you, Audrey, is to start saving and just save. Because here's the deal. Number one, you're going to have plenty of time to catch up when it comes to investing in retirement. Okay. Time is on your side. You're going to be in an incredible position to do that. And number two, to be able just to have that cash, because if something were to happen with scholarships or education, you have that money there to supplement, to continue to be debt-free while going through school, which is a great investment for you. But also you just have a chunk of money there at the end of school, and you're being paid to go to school, all of that, right? So you save up this big emergency fund and more cash. You leave at 21 with a pile of cash that you can use for not just an emergency fund, but beyond that, for a down payment, maybe on a home. Maybe that's a big chunk that you write into a big mutual fund to start out. But having that money liquid, meaning you can get to it quickly. With a Roth IRA, you can't get to it quickly. It is stuck in there because if you pull it out, there's penalty. So having cash available at your age is going to be the smartest move, Audrey. So what I would say is to go down. You can go down to your local bank. You can go online, and I would open up a money market account. So this is basically a savings account. You can write. It usually comes with a debit card, so you can take money out or write a check out of it, usually on average about 6 times a month. So it's not going to be your primary checking, but this can be an account that you just start saving cash for. It's your emergency fund, but it might be even just more stuff. So just having that one account that you are focused on putting as much money away as possible. Again, if you need it for school at some point, you can pull some of that money out. Or the beautiful thing is you graduate with maybe $10,000, I don't know, and you're like, oh, okay, well, from here, we got some options. We can do some stuff, because that transition out of college to the real world can be expensive. So having that money on hand. But again, Audrey, amazing. I mean, you're incredible. Absolutely incredible.
The fact that you're even calling, the fact that you watched Financial Peace University as a 19-year-old and then called the Ramsey Show for that kind of question just shows what a go-getter. You're gonna have a lot of money. You're gonna build wealth in your life. You're gonna be just fine. What I love about your situation and like so many college students is because you have such a great position right now. You're not in debt. Then you do have options. It's like we've been talking about all day today. Money is not just about money. It's about options. It's about you having the option to do what you want to do, whether that is move across the country or travel or buy a house or go to grad school or whatever. You don't know what you don't know, Audrey, like all college students, by the way. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you're going to want in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But if you have money, then you've got the options to make any of those things happen, even if you change your mind or it goes different than you expect. Great question and great job. Way to go. All right, let's talk to Andy in Boise. Hey, Andy, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
So my wife and I are at a bit of a disagreement that we can't seem to get past, and that is where we should live. So our story
just a
is
small
that,
thing.
we live where I grew up. That's where I've had my job for 17 years. We've been married for 12. And recently there's been some stuff that's just kind of gone bad with relationships for her, and she's kind of saying, we just need to move closer to my family, and her family lives 2,000 miles away. So that would mean selling our house, finding another house. I'd have to find another job. And it's just kind of got to the point where I'm saying, I just don't see that smart. And she's saying, well, it's the smartest thing we can do. And we're just kind of stuck.
Okay. I have so many follow-up questions. Number one, do y'all have kids?
We have 4 kids and number 5 is on the way.
Okay.
Oh, congratulations.
What are their ages?
The oldest is 10 and next one will be 8. The one below that is 4, about to turn 5, and our youngest is 1.5.
Okay. So as much as you can tell us that you're comfortable with, what went down? What went bad with relationships here?
There's just been several relationships with friends that they just basically kind of just abandoned her, kind of left her high and dry, and she's kind of at the point where she's just saying, I'm tired of reaching out to people to be friends, and then just kind of just leaving me, and then I feel like I have nothing here. She's like, you've got your family here, you've got everything here, but all everything that's my family that I love is a whole country away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me tell you what I hear is going on, and I'm going to show you both sides of it. Andy, one side of it is as a mom, and I can only relate to this from the motherhood perspective, but I love being close to my mom and my dad, having that help, having that support, that's my people, not Matt's people, my people. My mom's 3 miles away. There's a very real piece of that as she's pregnant. You've got number 5 on the way that I could totally see why she would want to be closer to her family with the 5th baby on the way. That in and of itself to me makes sense. Okay. So I get that. If that was the only reason, I would get it. I'm not saying you should do it, but I understand the desire.
Right.
The piece of it that's a check for me is I feel like she's running. I feel like she's running from these relationships that hurt her. And if she was fine before those relationships burned that bridge, then I don't know why she couldn't be fine after that. She might need some community. She might need new relationships. She might need a different type of support. She definitely does need things that are hers. If it feels like that all she does is take care of the kids and you've got this awesome life with work and golf clubs and all the friends and interests and she doesn't have that, then man, of course she needs that. But the only place it's possible is not 2,000 miles away. It's possible there, but it's going to take some effort on her part. So I think that the advice I would give you, and I want Rachel to jump in here, but just seeing both sides and hearing both sides, I think it would be really important for you all to dig into her motivation to leave. If her motivation to leave is family and support with the 5th baby, that's a very different conversation than I had some friends that hurt my feelings here, because this is a very expensive decision. You're talking about your job of 17 years, selling your house, uprooting your kids out of their schools. Like that is a major lifetime. There better be an amazing reason for y'all to do that, to put your whole family through it. And I would just press into that conversation and really in love, Andy, ask questions like, what's going on? Why can't we find that here? What's different today than was different, 6 months ago or before this happened? Let's really ask lots of open-ended questions to lead to the conversation, to get to the root of what's going on so that you can make the decision that's right for you. But I would just say, from my perspective, it would need to be a very good reason to uproot your whole family, take all that cost. Rachel, you feel like the same?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to make decisions that are emotional and out of pain and hurt. We want to make these big life decisions when we're in a healthy spot, and it doesn't sound like that, and for good reason. She was hurt. She's hurt.
And do not make any decision until you're on the same page, okay? You will build resentment if you do. Keep working through it till you get on the same page. Great call. Good luck. This is The Ramsey Show.
This is James Childs, producer of The Ramsey Show. You can listen to all our shows with the Ramsey Network app on your smartphone. Browse by topic or even send clips to your friends. Download the Ramsey Network app in your favorite app store today.
This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Christy Wright, and joining me today is my good friend Rachel Cruz, and we are taking your calls about money, life, business, time management, relationships, really anything you want to talk about. We're here for you, 888-825-5225. And I want to remind you guys that my new book, Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance, is available for pre-sale. And when you go ahead and get your copy now, you get the ebook free, the audiobook free, and you get a ticket to my event, Take Back Your Time Live, on September 16th. And here's a fun fact. I don't think I told you guys. I mentioned it on my Instagram today. But that event, Take Back Your Time Live, is on September 16th, which is the week of book launch. And that is Mary Grace's birthday.
How did you feel about that, Christy? When that happened, were you like, okay, this is literally my book?
It literally is. It's her second birthday. I don't know. I guess I'll bring her backstage to see all of it happening. But here's the reality is we are all, even if you do everything right, even if you're super intentional with your time and your calendar, even if you are doing the right things at the right time, still sometimes those things are going to collide. Still sometimes you're going to have two things that you love very much happen at the same time. But we will be celebrating little Mary Grace the next weekend, and she will not know that is her birthday. She will not know. I will spend the day with her before I'm with you guys here on stage. By the way, if you join us here in Nashville, for the Take Back Your Time live event, you can get your tickets at RamseySolutions.com. But if you come here, then not only is it fun because you're in person and you get the book free, but we're going to do a book signing. And I don't know, maybe you'll meet my 2-year-old daughter on her birthday. It'll be fun. There's a group of us here in person, so feel free to go ahead and get your ticket. You can get the book free that way. You can also pre-order your book and get a ticket to the event. However you want to do it.
How excited are you about this? Because your last book was Business Boutique.
Yep.
And I'll just say this. When you're in this line of work, being able to do a book, it's like I get to put all of my heart, my passion, all of this into something that's going to live for a long time. So books are always very exciting.
Yes.
To get a message out there, because it's just in a totally different, obviously, way to do it versus video or podcast or something.
Well, and I've been talking about this for a decade.
I know. So are you just like we haven't even, as friends, I feel like we haven't. It happened so fast. I know. I know it didn't happen fast, but it feels like it did. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like already on pre-order and stuff.
It's here.
How are you feeling?
I'm so excited. Let me tell you what I love about it most. And you know this because you've done book launches and pre-sales and all that kind of stuff. I've been doing tons of interviews. So with podcasts and TV and all that kind of stuff. And aside from the fact that every interview has been different, which I love, we're talking about different things. What is so fun to help people understand is this is not a productivity book. It's not even really a time management book, Rachel. This is about the deeper issues of why we feel out of balance in the first place. You know, earlier when we were on the show together, in the first hour, you used the analogy of spinning plates. And I think when it comes to balance, we've got a lot of feelings around that word. We've got a lot of pressure on ourselves. Well, here's what I found. We don't know what balance is. We just know we don't have it. And so it feels like this shadow that haunts us all the time.
Yep.
And we've got all these analogies from spinning plates to juggling balls to walking the tightrope. And we need to know which balls are plastic and which balls are glass and which ones you can let drop. And the truth is all of that feels really stinking stressful.
Yeah.
And I can do all that and still feel out of balance. And so I started asking a different question. What if balance isn't something you do? How you balance it all perfectly. What if instead it's something that you feel? What if it's something that you create in your life where you could be balanced and still be busy in a busy season, where you could be a balanced person in an out of balance world, where balance looks a lot more like peace, confidence in your choices, actually enjoying your life. That, I think, is the type of balance we're really after. And that's what I unpack in this book. And so the whole book is based around my thesis of life balance is not doing everything for an equal amount of time, like we often put pressure on ourselves to do. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And when you do the right things at the right time, you will feel that sense of balance you've been looking for. And here's the great news. You get to decide what's right for you.
Yeah.
You get to decide what's right for you in any given season. So someone that is building their business and you're working all the time, you're not failing. You're doing what's right for you right now to get this business on the ground. Someone working 3 jobs to get out of debt. You're not failing your family. This is a season where you're doing what's right now for the long-term gain. Someone that's a newborn, and that has, someone that's a newborn. I'm talking to all the newborns out there, everyone.
Someone, tell me what a balance is for an infant.
If you're an infant and you're really struggling with that, I talk too fast. I get so excited. If you have a newborn, and you get 1 shower a week, listen, that's success for you right now.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Balance for you looks different because you're not sleeping, everyone.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean your whole life is out of whack, because I think what we do, Rachel, and I think a lot of women struggle with this, parents or not, I think that what happens is we often do a lot of things right, but then we always focus on the things we didn't do. So right now I'm in a crazy season with launching the book. I'm on the road. I'm traveling. I'm working a lot of hours. So I'm not doing some things I normally do, like work out all the time or see my friends all the time. Now I could look at that and feel like a huge failure, like, oh, I'm such a bad friend. I'm not working out, or my house is not as clean as I would like. Or I could say, that's not right now. So a simple question I love to give people, and for any of you listening right now that might be in a season where you're going, I am overwhelmed, I just want to give you a very practical question to ask yourself. It's super tactical. That's going to help you do exactly what I'm talking about. Ask yourself, what's right now? What's right now? And you can look at that in this season. What's right this season? What's the most important this season? You could look at it in a week. Hey, what's right this week? What are my top priorities this week? And you could look at it in a given day. Start your day and go, okay, what's right now? What do I need to focus on today? Then when you actually get clarity around what that is and you spend your time on it, you not only get to enjoy that moment while it's happening and experience it, but you shake the guilt of all the things you're not doing. Because when I step over toys and my house is a mess, I don't beat myself up as a failure. I go, that's not right now. This is not the season for a clean house, Christy. This is not the priority right now. We've got priorities and that's not it. So I want it to be a book that sets people free from the pressure to do it all.
Yeah.
And instead say, hey, you're doing a great job. Just simply ask yourself what's right now and do that. And when you do that, you will shake the guilt. You will create your version of balance and you'll actually get to enjoy your life more.
Well, what I love about it is you, to the point that we all can, you're able to say, hey, I'm going to take control over this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be intentional.
Right.
And I'm actually going to create a life that I want. Like well, what does this look like? Right. And what a beautiful thing just to give people permission and to be able to walk them through that. So I'm so excited about it.
Well, I think so many people feel like victims to their schedule.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I have to do this. Well, I have to do that. I'm like, a lot of it you don't.
Yep.
Some things you do have to do, but a lot of it you don't.
Yeah.
And so it again comes down to personal responsibility and saying, okay, I'm going to make decisions that are right for me and my family. And by the way, your time is not just your time. It's your family's time if you have a family.
That's right.
And so this is a great jumping off point to have this conversation with your spouse and say, hey, what's right now for me? What's right now for you? And how do we come together in our values? Just like we teach you guys with your money and your budget, your calendar should reflect the values of you and your spouse if you're married, or your kids if they're older.
That's right.
Everyone gets to speak into it. Everyone's values are represented. And then what's really cool is it brings you together as a team where you're on the same page and you're creating a life that everyone wants to be a part of. And it's got those shared goals. So good. Take back your time. The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance is available for pre-sale at RamseySolutions.com.
Stop paying your overpriced wireless provider and switch to Pure Talk. They use the same network as the larger providers for much less. For just $30 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data with no contract. The average family saves over $70 a month by switching to Pure Talk. Just go to puretalk.com and enter the promo code Ramsey to save 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, simply smarter wireless.
right. Joining me today is my good friend Rachel Cruz, and we are taking your calls about life and money. And we're going to go to Columbus with Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how are you?
Good, ladies. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
Hey there. So I work from home. I own and operate a professional wedding DJ business, but I also work for a software company. And this software company found me because I used their platform to manage my business. And they were looking for employees to hire. And so they ended up bringing me on, and they pay me through my business. And they keep telling me they're going to bring me on as a full-time employee. And I'm wondering whether or not I should keep waiting for that or just find another job, because I'm still dealing with, the business income tax and then paying myself payroll and then the payroll tax. And it's just a big headache. So I wanted to see what you girls would recommend.
Okay, give me some details about this position. Was it in writing, and was there a timeline established when you were hired at when you would be brought on full-time?
So there was no writing as to when I would be brought on full-time, but it's a yearly agreement.
Okay. And how long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for 2 years.
2 years. So when you started, they said, we're going to bring you on full-time. They never said when, and you never asked when.
Well, they brought me on. I'm doing 32 hours a week, $30 an hour, 6 hours a day. So I'm doing just under $4,000 a month. So they brought me on as quote unquote part-time, but I'm working like every single day, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So you just, I guess I'm confused on the question. You want to not be a contract employee. You want to be full-time on their payroll.
Correct. And I've told them that, and they keep telling me that they'll bring me on full time, but I'm not seeing any movement on that, if that makes sense.
And they never say when, and you never ask when.
I did ask when, and they told me back in April when we launched our new software, and it's still no movement since.
And have you followed up? Like, hey guys, April happened.
I have.
And what do they say?
One of our member of leadership has been desperately ill, so they've been telling me that it's because of that, but I don't think it is, because it's been a recurring thing.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. How bad do you want it? Like, do you want this position with this company enough to stick around and try to work it out with them? Or is it like you don't really care and you kind of are good to have a reason to go find something different?
Well, I love the atmosphere. I love the ability to work from home, and I love it. It's just I would like to be able to take some of that tax worriness off of myself just by being a W-2 employee.
Yeah, well, for sure. I hate to oversimplify this, but I think that we were talking earlier about communication. I think this is going to require you being super persistent in communicating with them and following up. And you can be really direct, Hunter, and you can be really kind. And it would look something like this to whoever your leader is. Say, hey, I love working for this company. In fact, I love it so much, I've turned down other work in order to be able to do this. But I'm taking XYZ tax burden, and that just doesn't make sense financially for me, because I could go work a full-time job somewhere else that doesn't have that tax burden. So if I'm going to be able to stay with you guys, I'm going to need to come on full-time like we talked about 2 years ago, like you guys promised, through April. And if we can't have a hard deadline that's going to happen by, I'm probably going to need to look for something else. And it's very kind. And what's so important about this, Hunter, is you're putting it back on them. You're not the one that made this promise. They're the one that made the promise. And taking into consideration health or leadership change or any of that, you can absolutely do that and be kind. And you have been, because by the way, April was a long time ago. It was months ago. It's not like it's, May 1st and you're like, okay, well, where's the position, which you would have had a right to, but you're not doing that. You've given it plenty of time. And I think it's very reasonable for you to go to whoever your leader is, whoever the decision maker is that made this promise and so on, and put it back on them. Say, hey, here's what we said. Here's what we agreed to. And then here's the timeline that hasn't happened. And be very complimentary, not as a source of manipulation. You mean it. You love this company. You love the work. You love the culture. You just don't want the tax burden. You want them to do what they said they would do. And I think you can say that in a very kind way, but very direct, that puts a little bit of fire under them to do something about it.
Yes, because in a way too, don't lock yourself into this one thing, right? I mean, there are other great companies that have work from home. I mean, like, what you need and what you want is out there. So don't pigeonhole yourself into this one thing, even though you love it and you want it. When you at least know in the back of your mind, I have a plan B and a plan C, it's going to help you, because it's going to give you the freedom to be able to let go if you need to, if they don't follow through. Because the deal is, too, you get stuck in this cycle of frustration when a conversation like Chrissy just laid out doesn't happen. So lay it out, clear terms, a time frame to know what's going on. But then in the back of your mind, Hunter, I would have plan B and C just to say, okay, I have something else to fall back on. This is not the end all be all of my career.
Yeah, that's good. And good luck. Good luck. I think if you stick with it, you'll end up right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to Bethesda, Maryland with Yakov. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. What about you?
Great. How can Rachel and I help?
Hi, I started watching the show about a week ago, and today I started reading or listening to Total Money Makeover.
Yeah, awesome.
So I'm just a newbie. The question I have is, I'm going back to school in January, and now that I'm reading the book, I want to be debt-free as much as I can, and I'm working online, but going to school, I would need to have a car. So it will be a second car for us. And if I use the bus, then it will be hour and a half each direction. But if I buy a car, that gives me some extra time to work extra hours. So I was thinking it would be a good compromise, so buying a car and then use the money from the work to pay for the car. But it's still half a year ahead, so I was thinking maybe I could save some, so it's not 100% debt. So what's your recommendation?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I'll say this. We are about 100% no debt at all. So my goal for you would be to pay for a car in cash. And I'll be honest, it may not be the prettiest car. It may not be the best car. It may not be your dream car. But to do what you need it to do to get you to and from work versus avoiding the bus and an hour and a half commute both ways with that, this is a great investment. So how much are you married, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. How much do you guys make a year?
We make right now about 60 to 80.
Okay.
With overtime.
Yep. And what kind of debt do you guys have?
We have $5,000 credit card and $75,000 on student loan.
$75,000. Okay. So what this would be, we talk about our four walls a lot when we're budgeting, taking a budget and saying, okay, here's the priority of things that we need to take care of. And that would be food, shelter, transportation, and utilities. So transportation's in there, which is a car. And so in order for you to go to work, go to school, do these things, you're going to need a car. So do you guys
I don't have to have a car, but I will be saving on time that I can use towards like extra hours on work.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have any savings at all?
No, we just started.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Sorry, one quick question. Did you say your student loan was $75,000 or $7,500?
$75,000.
Okay, just want to clarify that.
Yeah, so if you were to choose to say yes, and a car would be an investment for us to make this process easier, I can work overtime, I can do X, Y, and Z, I would not take out a car payment for it. Again, this is going to be a very cheap, reliable car. An old Honda, an old Accord. I love Hondas. Hondas are my favorites.
You're on a Honda kick today.
I am. But the goal here is to completely avoid debt 100%. And if this is something that you guys say, yeah, we need to invest in this before we start paying off the debt, I would do that. And then I'd get Gazelle Intense. And you guys are on it. I mean, you're in it for the first week. And I'm so excited about your money journey.
Awesome. This is The Ramsey Show. real estate market, you've noticed that competition between buyers out there is intense, in part because the inventory of available housing has been hitting all-time lows. Now, when inventory is low, it simply means there are more buyers buying than sellers selling, and that turns the pressure up on everyone. If you've been looking, you've been feeling that. Buyers want to snag the right house. Sellers want to accept the right offer. This isn't amateur hour, y'all. Low inventory is here to stay. To win in this market, you need a pro by your side. That's why we find, vet, and endorse top real estate agents across the country called endorsed local providers to help you buy or sell. Our agents have years of industry success and refuse to compromise your financial goals no matter how tough the competition is. Good news is that you can instantly connect with an endorsed local provider in your area today. Just go to RamseySolutions.com/agent to find a Ramsey trusted agent near you. That's RamseySolutions.com/agent. And Blinds.com 100% satisfaction guarantee means that even if you mismeasure or pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. You get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promo codes they run every month, you'll save even more. Use promo code Ramsey to get the best deal.
And today's question comes from Casey in Missouri. My husband and I have been battling infertility for 3 years. We have no debt, and our income is $40,000, and we have $10,000 in savings. We have tried less aggressive fertility treatments, and they have failed. It looks like we will have to move on to IVF, which can be $10,000 to $15,000. Taking out a loan in order to do IVF doesn't feel right, but neither does spending all of our life savings on something that isn't guaranteed. What advice do you have for families who long for a baby and can't afford the cost of IVF? I've thought about selling baked goods or craft projects to raise funds. Is fundraising a good option? Oh, Casey, this is a hard one. I think that this is something in life that I think everyone has had someone in their life where this has been the case, the struggle of starting a family. And I think it's one of the most heart-wrenching issues. So I don't, I don't belittle that at all because it is, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. So I would say, it doesn't feel right to spend all of our life savings on something that isn't guaranteed. I think trying for a baby is worth it. I think for you guys, you're right, it's not guaranteed. And so taking out loans for this is difficult because I've talked to people that have done this and if it didn't work, you're paying back something that it did and it causes a lot, it does cause a lot of stress. And so my encouragement to you would be, yes, is fundraising an option? Absolutely. I think people are extremely generous in life. I think people start, whether it's GoFundMe, start places and people love on them and help give and support to their causes, whether it's adoption or IVF or whatever you choose. It's a beautiful thing. So yes, is that an option? Absolutely. It's an option. It's on the table, I would say. But I'd also say that you guys can, I think you can cash flow at least one of these treatments because I know on the front end of this, it's usually more expensive through the process. But I would say to still keep that emergency fund, I would still have money in the bank. I wouldn't cash out everything and go to zero by any means. That doesn't feel wise either. I understand that. So I would have some buffer. Maybe you bring your emergency fund down to 3 months versus 6 months and you guys have that and then be aggressively saving for this goal because this is a goal of something you guys are longing for as a family and using that motivation to say, you know what? We're going to cut things out of our lifestyle. I'm going to sell baked goods. I'm going to sell crafts. I'm going to fundraise. We're going to do what we can to get this money and let that longing for a family be part of that motivation to save for it. I really would. And, but this is hard. It's hard. This is a hard question.
Yeah. And the other thing, Casey, that I would say is this feels super emotional for you because it is super emotional for you. But if you were to just for a minute suspend the emotion of it and look at it differently and say, this is something very important to us and we're going to find a way to pay for it. Just like you would if it was anything else that was super important to you. It feels different because it's a baby. Obviously, that is different. But don't feel weird about saving up to pay cash or using cash from your savings account that you already have or adding to it or fundraising to fund this thing that's very important to you. It just so happens that this thing that you want to spend money on is a baby. And thank God for modern medicine that there are options like this for you to pursue that path. And so I just want to encourage you that while it is extremely emotional and personal, you have every right and opportunity that within your means to find a way to pay for it if that's what's right for you and that's what you want to do. So we just want to encourage you in that. All right, let's go to Beaumont, Texas with Daniel. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Good. What's going on?
So I'm thinking about taking another job. The job that I'm at pays really, really good, but it's shift work. And we have a new baby and everything, and I'm only home half the time, and when I am home, I'm sleeping, and I'm just trying to get some guidance on it because I'm going to take about a $2,000 a month cut to move jobs. So
what's your income right now?
Right now, monthly
or annual, either one.
Monthly is $7,400, and I'd be going down to about $5,400.
Do y'all have any debt?
Yeah, I have a mortgage, and then I have $20,000 I owe on my truck and $35,000 on my wife's SUV.
Yeah. So is it?
And $20,000 in student loans.
So when you say the better hours, is it because you're exhausted at your job, or because you're missing the baby, or both?
Both. I work nights. Nights and days, it alternates. So half the time I'm not home, and then half the time when I'm home, I'm sleeping or whatever because my schedule is all crazy. Yeah. And and then of course once she gets older and everything, like all the guys I work with, they miss their kids, recitals, dance recitals, football games, basketball games, all that. Everybody's making good money, but they're kind of miserable because they're not really free,
And Daniel, how old's the baby?
She's 10 months old.
10 months old, okay.
Well, Daniel, I'm going to let Rachel answer this, but I just want to point out, you just made the perfect case for why you guys need to get out of debt. Because you get out of debt and you get serious and you get on a budget. And if you stay on the line, we'll have Kelly give you guys a membership to Ramsey Plus so you can take the classes, learn the steps, get the every dollar budget. If you do that now, when she's a baby and will have zero memories of what's going on right now if you work in these nights, then when she's older in a couple of years, you guys get this debt knocked out, you can take that pay cut, you can be at her recitals, and you can do all of that. But that will not happen if you're always in chains to this debt. I'll let Rachel take it, but you just made a perfect case for why we need to get out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, this is your why. I mean, Daniel, let this to say, I don't want to be those guys. My baby's 10 months. She's not doing recitals right now. He's not doing basketball games right now. But that's coming. Like, that day is coming. It's coming fast in the next couple of years. And you guys kind of got a mess on your hands financially. Lots of debt, stuff kind of swirling around. So I would say, let this be your motivator. Yes. Would you have a better quality of life right now in the present if you took those hours down? Yes, you would. Absolutely. And is that the right decision? Maybe it is. Maybe you guys decide, you know what, we're still going to cut the hours and we're going to attack this debt. It's going to take us longer to pay it off. But the more you buckle down right now, like Christy's saying, and the more you say, I'm going to sacrifice my time with my family to still make this extra. Because I mean, you're talking about, $25,000 pay cut over a year that could be thrown at this debt. So do the math and say, how fast can we get out of debt if I stayed in this job? How long would it be? This is not forever, but 18, 24 months. What does it look like in 2 years if I don't take the pay cuts and we grind it out? Even though it's going to be hard, it might be worth it in the end.
So good. This is The Ramsey Show. scripture of the day is Luke 11:9-10. So I say to you, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Maya Angelou said, ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. Such a theme today. Ask. So often we miss the simple things. Just ask for what you want and ask for what you need. I love that. All right, we're going to go to Alexa in Colorado. Hey, Alexa, how are you?
Hi, guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
So my husband and I started the baby steps back in July. We finally got on the same page and, did our first budget and everything.
Awesome.
So we're just a little worried because of our car situation. Both cars are actually paid for. It has always been that way. And even before I started listening to you guys, it was my pride and joy. We never owed anything on a car.
That's awesome.
But my husband's a little worried because, they're both, I think one of them's a 2004 and the other is a 2006. They're both pretty heavy, especially mine is pretty heavy on the miles with picking up the kids and drop-offs and just everything. So I wanted to know what the best way to plan for that is. Or, we just started on the baby steps and we've kind of struggled a little bit to really get some friction going here, get some, some
yeah.
And so I'm just a little bummed out, that we would, I guess I don't know the best way to plan for this to happen so that we don't end up having to take a car loan out or whatever,
Sure. Alexa, is there problems with the car currently, or you're just worried because they're an 04 and an 06 and you just know eventually cars give out? Is there any reason besides just the year?
My husband's car, which is mainly just for him to go to work and back, it's actually turned out to be pretty reliable.
So is there anything wrong with the cars, though? Is there anything wrong currently with the cars that you're like, okay, we're going to have to replace the transmission, all of that, or you just are fearful in the future?
Not right now, no.
Okay.
Just the main one is over 200,000 miles already.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Which cars still run, then I understand they're more likely to break the older they are, but we're doing good. Where are you guys in the baby steps? Are you on baby step 1? Are you on baby step 2?
Yeah, just number 1.
Okay,
My
that's awesome.
actually dropped, so we had to readjust our budget just this month.
Okay, amazing. And what's the debt situation?
I think we're at about 10,000.
Okay. 10,000 total. Is that credit cards, student loans?
Mainly credit cards, actually, in this case.
Yeah, that's great.
but a little bit of student loans.
And how much do you guys make a year?
We're at about 80,000 before taxes.
Amazing. Okay. Well, Alexei, I'm going to be...
Shoot her straight. She needs it. Shoot her straight. I can feel it in you. You're holding back. She makes 80,000. She has 10,000 in debt.
I know. Well, I was about
you
to
can
say,
get out. No.
I'm about to give you good news, Alexa. You can do this. This is easy. We got this. You make $80,000. You guys need to do a written budget. You need to cut out everything, Alexa, everything. You guys have been enjoying life. You've been racking up some credit card debt here and there. You got to stop that. You got to look at your budget. You got to cut everything out of it. And you guys can get this $1,000 quickly. You can do this. Sell stuff, work extra.
That's interesting.
You go.
That's the interesting thing that I guess I felt the same way, which is why I was so eager to have my husband jump on board with me. And then we sat down and did the budget, and literally we haven't gone out since July.
What?
We have
Where's
really
all the money
been very
going?
intentional.
Where's it all going?
Do you have too much mortgage?
I think it's my mortgage. Yeah, I think we just got the house back in December. So the mortgage and the bills is really...
What percent of your income is your mortgage?
Oh, goodness. At this point, again, because my hours just dropped, so they got cut back, at this point, we're probably closer to that half.
50%, yep.
And we also have 3 young kids, so there's daycare involved.
Yep. Yeah, Alexa, I think your house is a big problem. It's eating a lot of that money. And you guys just got to tighten stuff up. Yes, even if half your money goes to a mortgage payment, which again, you got too much house. You guys may really, really, really want to look down, run the numbers and consider, hey, what if we sold? What if we did something different in this situation? But you guys make 80 grand. So it's there. It's there. It's just a matter of you guys sitting down and saying no to everything for a season, And it's going to be hard. It's not going to be comfortable. But listen, Alexa, the deeper you sacrifice that lifestyle, the deeper you say, my hours were cut, but I'm going to find extra somewhere else. Like, we are going to work hard again for a season and sacrifice time, sacrifice lifestyle to get this all moving. It's going to be worth it, because if you guys really do buckle down, you're going to be able, the average income is what, $56,000 in America. So within 6 months, you guys should be able to clean all this up. And I really, really believe you guys can. You're working as a team, but you're new to this. Okay, so give yourself some grace. You're new to this. It's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and Alexa, I want you to stay on the line, because you have the income. There's no reason you can't get yourself out of this mess. It's going to take some adjustment, like Rachel said, but stay on the line. I want Kelly to give you a year to Ramsey Plus. You're going to get the class, Financial Peace University. I want you and your spouse to take this class together. This class is not only going to show you how to get out of debt in a tactical way, it's going to fire you up to care enough to want to. Because most of us know what we need to do to get out of debt, live on less than we make. We know this. We know how to lose weight, eat less calories. We get it. We just don't have the motivation a lot of times. And what's so fantastic about Financial Peace University is it gives you the information and the motivation. It's going to fire you up to want to do something about this situation, which is exactly what you need right now. And what's great is you already have the income to work with. Now, here's the other thing that I think is important for you to know, Alexa, but also any of you out there. If you are in a situation where you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're just getting by and you're just keeping your head above water, you have to make adjustments to make progress. You will never make progress on your debt or your financial goals by keeping the situation how it is, where you're just keeping your head above water, which means, here, let's talk about that, what that means literally. It means you have to get your income up and you have to get your expenses down, so there is a larger margin between your income and your expenses. All that extra is what you've got to work with, right? Like, that's what goes towards your debt or towards your goals or whatever. So Alexa, even if you make $80,000 a year, if half of it's gone to the mortgage and a whole larger chunk is going to childcare, you may need to take a second job, or your spouse takes a second job, or you sell the house. Something has to change to decrease the expenses, to increase the income, or maybe both, in order to have margin to make progress. Guys, if you're okay with barely just getting by, you're never going to get out of debt. You're never going to make progress. You have to get fired up. I love how Dave says, you can wander into debt, you cannot wander out. What got you in this mess by degrees, a little here, a little there, is not what's going to get you out. A little here, a little there, never got anyone out of debt, ever. You've got to get gazelle intense. You've got to get your income up, your expenses down in whatever way is possible for you. And that's what's going to make the difference. Not, I'm going to save $2 on a coffee. $2 on a coffee is fine, but I need you to make major changes to increase your income and decrease your expenses to get there.
And it's going to feel uncomfortable, Alexa. It's not going to be fun.
Change is uncomfortable.
It is. And that's what I was going to say. It causes friction and it's hard. Like it makes you step out of your comfort zone to say, this is not normal. What I knew was normal is not getting me what I want. So the results that I want in the future, in order to get those, I have to change my present. I have to change what I've been doing, just like what Christy's saying. And so prepare for that friction, prepare to be uncomfortable. And there's a level of this that it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So that it's going to take a level of discipline for you guys. But Alexa, you can do this. And you guys are so early on in the process, okay? You got to just fine tune some stuff, get that fire lit in you. And Ramsey Plus is going to help you do that.
Yes.
And you can change the game.
It is hard, but it is worth it. No one has called us and said, oh man, I miss my debt. No one ever, by the way. It's worth it. All right, I want to thank producer James Childs and associate producer Kelly Daniel, my co-host Rachel Cruz.
Christy.
This was fun.
So
and
great.
You, America, for listening in. This is The Ramsey Show.
Have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.